the library and I'm rocking my Great Gatsby sweatshirt, and you know what that means. It's time to kick off a brand new year of reading together. If you are new to Paper and Glam, I'm Lisamarie, and I'm so excited that you're here. We, among many other fun things, read a book a month together every year, and today I am doing the reveal of which titles we will be reading together in 2019. So to give you a little bit of a breakdown about how the book club works is, of course, we'll start the year with all of the titles. So you can plan and prep. We're all about planning here in the Paper and Glam community. But we meet the last Thursday of every month at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Paper and Glam book club channel. So not this channel, not the main channel. It's the book club channel, which is linked down below and to the right. If you're watching this on the main page, it's on the main page, main Paper and Glam page. There'll be a link to God and Glam and a link to the Paper and Glam book club channel. So that's where we meet. And we actually discuss the book live on YouTube via a live stream, and it's so much fun. I started the Paper and Glam book club because I, of course, am a reader. I am a book junkie. I'm pretty much just in love with all things paper, right? All things stationery, all things printed. It's just what wakes me up in the morning. So I, as a reader, would finish books and think, gosh, I really wish I had someone to chat about this with. And there's been so many books we've read together that I wouldn't have personally picked to read if I was just reading, solo. They're a little bit out of my wheelhouse, and maybe I didn't enjoy the books as I was reading them, but once we discuss them as a group, I always come away with either a newfound respect for the book or like wanting to go back and reread it, or I just realized I actually did enjoy it after I had chatted about it with all of you. We have a panel of 8 book chatters that are chatting live, so you see them on camera, and then you can join just like you joined this video, and you can see the live chat and chat with the gals watching live, guys and gals watching live too. So it's a lot of fun, and if you really feel like you want to read more in 2019, this is a really accessible place to start. We can all read a book a month, even if we just read 10 minutes a day. Just starting or ending the day with just like 10-15 minutes of reading will do the job. All of the books on the list are a little bit lighter in tone than stuff that we've done in the previous years, and that reason is twofold. One is I'm just in a season where I need to take things a little bit more lightly, and also a lot of you are writing me and saying that you would like books that are a little bit more accessible because you're not someone who reads, but you want to be, and that makes me so excited. Reading is just one of the joys of my life, and getting to share it with you is all the more better. So let's get into titles. A couple notes before we get started is I really try to pick books that are like from every genre, with the exception of like science fiction and horror and like things that are a little bit niche, but so we make sure we hit a classic every year, at least one. We make sure we do contemporary fiction, something that's released that is, really kind of still buzzing and on the New York Times bestseller list. We try to hit, women's fiction, which is a term I abhor because it's like, where's the men's fiction? But, also known as chick lit. Something light, something directed towards women. Let's see. Oh, I might have to consult my notes on the other genres. Oh, nonfiction. Hello, my wheelhouse. So I love nonfiction. At my core, I am a nonfiction reader, and before I started the Paper and Glam book club, I found myself just pouring through nonfiction, and I realized I really need to read more widely. So for nonfiction, we always read a memoir, and then we always read something that is aimed at personal growth. You may hear the term self-help thrown around, but that's another term I try to avoid, but just for identifying the genres as we go. Let's see, what else? Let me consult my cheat sheet. We always read seasonally in October and December. So we have kind of a Halloweeny, Glamoweeny themed read in October. And then December, of course, it's a Christmas theme. So with that, let's jump into the titles that we're going to be reading together this year. In January, we like to start the year off with something inspirational. Last year we read When Breath Becomes Air. The year before that, we read one of my all-time favorite books, Year of Yes. And in that vein, in January, we'll be reading How to Get Stuff Done. And I know my fiction readers are kind of rolling their eyes, but hang with me, okay? Because I really think that we're going to enjoy this book. It's been on the New York Times bestseller list since it came out January 18th of last year. And as soon as it was released, I really wanted it on the list because it's not just a book about productivity, because those put me to sleep too. And, I read in my free time, so I kind of like to take off my work hat when I'm reading, and anything that makes me feel like I'm still at work. Not that I don't love what I do, that's the other joy of my life, but I like to kind of check out a little bit when I read, and I know a lot of you say the same. So anyway, this book really addresses the narratives behind some of the struggles that I personally face, and some of the reasons that I have had a hard time balancing is because of the narratives I personally live by. We are all a product of the stories we tell ourselves. And I know that I kind of live by some false narratives that I really need to reverse in the future, such as, there'll be more time in the future, or I don't have enough time. And Erin Falconer really walks through things that are, I think, specific to women. A lot of productivity books are written by men, you'll notice, and I was really excited to see that this is one that is doing really well and is written by a woman. So let me share a little something from the publisher's excerpt. Women live in a constant state of guilt that we're not doing enough, that we're not enough, that we can't keep up. If we're not climbing the corporate ladder, building our side hustle, preparing home-cooked meals, meditating daily, and scheduling date nights and girls' nights every week, we feel like we're not living our best life. Yet traditional productivity books written by men barely touch the tangle of cultural pressures that women feel when facing down a to-do list. So if you're like me, I do have a lot of guilt, when I'm relaxing, I'm kind of thinking oh, my inbox is overflowing, or, there's all this stuff that I need to get done. And when I'm getting stuff done, I'm feel guilty that I'm not resting enough. And I don't mean sleep, I mean rest, awake time, not working, not, doing something that needs to be done or should be done. So I'm really excited to hear how Erin addresses these topics. She has written the number one self-help blog, or one of the number one self-help sites for many years. She has also a lifestyle channel called Leaf TV that is aimed at millennials, which is I guess me. And yeah, I just could not be more excited to start the year in this tone. In February, we always read fiction. I like to zigzag between nonfiction and fiction in my own reading life. I like to usually have one of each going at a time, but for the book club, I mix it up. So we like to read a good old-fashioned love story in February. It is the month of love, and this month we are going to be reading The Wedding. And I know some of you may not be Nicholas Sparks fans, but hang on, because if you have not read the 1996 classic, The Notebook, and I don't mean saw the movie, I mean read the book, I personally think you're missing out. A lot of you have told me that this is one of your all-time favorite books, and I say the same. And it's also one of the few books that I feel like the movie does it justice, but the book, of course, is still better. I reread this before putting The Wedding on our list for this year because I wanted to make sure it held up, and I read it in 2 nights, which is rare for me. I'm a slow reader, and I usually fall asleep about 15 minutes after I start reading, and I just loved it. And I actually didn't know there was a sequel until Amazon recommended it to me. Don't you just hate/love how they're so good at that? So I immediately was like, what? Nicholas Sparks just published a sequel? And this actually came out in 2003, which was a year before The Notebook was a movie or became a movie. So this book is so well rated on Amazon and Goodreads. I am just so excited to read the sequel along with you. And so many of you have told me you love The Notebook, but I don't know that I've ever discussed the sequel with you guys. So it was just such a surprise, and it was like finding $20 in a jacket you haven't worn in a year. So yeah, that is our February read. In March, we always read a thriller. And when this thriller came out, our March read, in January of 2018, so many of you flooded my inbox saying, you have to make this the 2019 thriller. You must. It is everything. And this is The Woman in the Window. I feel like the last person on earth to have read this book, And I'm really excited to read it along with you guys because I know that there's some of you who have read it, so I totally get it. A lot of books I didn't mention my super readers will have read, but I do like to pick books that have been out for at least a year because I want to make sure they're accessible to you guys at your local libraries. Or if you want to snag them used on Amazon or, at your local bookstore, I just want to make sure they're in stock and, you can't not read along. That was a double negative. You don't read along because you can't find the book, because that would be a tragedy, a reading tragedy. So the other thing that really compelled me to add The Woman in the Window to our 2019 list is that it is going to be released in a movie adaptation on October 6th, 2019, I believe. October 4th. So 2 days, minus 2 days. And this book I know has a lot of movie references in it, and I think that's gonna add a fun little like twist to the whodunit of our usual March thriller. And while you're reading this year, I would love to know what you think should be on our 2019 list. A few of the books on our list this year and every year are just kind of selected from the community because of little messages I get on Goodreads, notes I get in my inbox, and I want to know what you guys think should be on the list or what you'd like us to read more of. This is very much a democracy, getting books on the reading list, and nothing is better than a book that I know so many of you have read and loved. Since this is very much a like-minded community, I really want every book to be like just one that you had a great time reading. And of course that's hard because we all have very diverse reading styles. One of my favorite things about our live chat is every book, there's usually someone who rates it 2 stars and there's always someone who rates it 5 stars. And I just love the diversity and the dialogue that creates as we're reading together. April. So I've never done this before, but we're doing back-to-back thrillers. And in a minute, those of you who know me well will see why. All right. So from the cover, I think you can tell this had to be our April book. So we have a very rain-inspired April collection every year. And so I just loved this cover. This was sent to me from the publisher and, by just because they wanted me to read it and potentially put it on the list, but by no means was this compensated. And what caught my attention is I already love Jessica Knoll. You might be familiar with Jessica Knoll's The Luckiest Girl Alive. I've almost made this the February read about 3 years in a row because it's just so good and I would love to read it with you guys. But it is a thriller, but I feel like it should be a February read because of the rose. I'm a huge nerd. Or October. And so when she released her next book, I was like, oh yes, this is going to be the one. Because the cool thing about The Luckiest Girl Alive is that Reese Witherspoon, the Reese, like you need to know her last name. We're on a first name basis with Reese, aren't we? So she bought the movie adaptation that Jessica Knoll wrote. So she wrote the script and Reese was going to adapt it. I'm not sure what happened with the production. I searched out to see kind of what was going on, if this was still going to be a movie, so I could kind of give you guys an update, but I didn't see anything on the internet. I was kind of following it because I wanted to put it on the list during a year when the movie was going to come out, but since we got a brand new Jessica Knoll with a very seasonal cover, we went for it. And again, 2 back-to-back thrillers. It's going to be 2 back-to-back page turners. And I think that's going to be fun, especially if you're going on a spring break or, you just want something a little lighter to read in the spring. Read outside on your spring break. Read outside in the park. I think this will be a really fun one. One more quick thing on our April read is I love that Jessica Knoll wrote her debut novel, The Luckiest Girl Alive, while working at Cosmo. So while she was working at Cosmo, she wrote it during nights and weekends. And I just love that her side hustle became main hustle. And working at Cosmo is interesting because one of our upcoming authors was working at Vogue, and she also kind of had a side hustle turned main hustle. All right, we're at May, almost halfway done. So in May, we're going to get a little bit heavier. Now, not heavier in terms of darkness, because we already had 2 whodunits. So this is going to be our literary fiction read for the year. And I always wondered, what's the difference between literary fiction and contemporary fiction? So literary fiction, it's kind of written with the intention of being an artful masterpiece. So it's something that you'll see has beautiful writing, which I think a lot of us readers translate to slog, with like page-long descriptions about like the scenery. So this piece of literary fiction, Rules of Civility by Martels, has been on the New York Times bestseller list for really, I think, off and on since it was released in, I think, 2011. So Rules of Civility did come out in 2011, but it's set in 1938. And what got my attention with this book is, one, Anne Bogle on my favorite podcast, What Should I Read Next, keeps raving about it. I think there was a period there where it came up like every other episode of the podcast, but it has been compared to a modern day Great Gatsby. So modern day, not in the sense that, you know, it's set in modern day, but modern day is in like it was very recently published. So let me read you the publisher's copy because it's just so well done. The story opens on New Year's Eve in New York in a Greenwich village jazz bar where Katie happens to meet a handsome banker with royal blue eyes and a ruddy smile. This chance encounter ends up providing her unexpected access to the rarefied offices of Condé Nast and a glittering new social circle. Katie has the chance to experience firsthand the poise secured by wealth and station, but also the aspirations, envy, disloyalty, and desires that reside just below the surface. So you can already kind of pick up the Gatsby vibes, and I am all about the Gatsby vibes. A love letter to a great American city at the end of the Depression. Readers will quickly fall under its spell of crisp writing, sparkling atmosphere, and breathtaking revelations as Tolles evokes the ghosts of Fitzgerald, Capote, and McCarthy. So we read Breakfast at Tiffany's by Truman Capote, and I might have just mispronounced that, together in 2015, I believe. I think it was May 2015. It might have been May 2016. And a lot of you just loved it. And if you're a fan of the movie like I am, it does kind of have some Gatsby vibes in it and just kind of that era in New York. So I am always excited by books that kind of aspire to that similar setting and those similar themes. I really think this is going to be a nice readable piece of literary fiction, and it's just so darn well reviewed. It was hard for me to find a negative review, and I just can't wait to read it along with you. Real quick, speaking of Great Gatsby, it figures prominently in our November book this year, which is A Movable Feast. And so we will be chatting with a very special guest on November 29th about a little about The Great Gatsby and Scott Fitzgerald, but also on, of course, our November read, A Movable Feast. So Ross, who is a leading Hemingway and Fitzgerald scholar, will be joining us live and answering some of our questions. I had the privilege of meeting him this week, and we just had such a fun talk getting ready for the chat. So this installment of Book Club is going to be really fun on November 29th. And if you're watching this in the future, all of the replays of our book club sessions are up on the YouTube channel, and you can watch them anytime. So if you want to go back and reread, there's plenty of opportunity to do that. June. For June, we're going to lighten it up again with a nice beachy read. For June, one of our Paper and Glam Book Club favorite author returns. And no, it's not Shauna Niequist, although if she had a book coming out, you know she'd be back. It is Jenny Han. We are reading Jenny Han for the third time together because I think this is the fan favorite, in general. This is the author that just everyone loves. I've yet to hear one of you guys say that you didn't enjoy the To All the Boys I Loved Before trilogy, which we read together in 2015, and then again last year we read the final installment, and then it was adapted to a Netflix series this year. I haven't watched it yet because I'm a little bit hesitant because I don't want like the imagery I have of the story to kind of be like outcast by the movie adaptation, so I haven't watched it yet. Anywho, back to The Summer I Turned Pretty. So this is another young adult book, and this is the trilogy that Jenny Han wrote before To All the Boys I Loved Before. It's also very highly reviewed, and I miss Jenny Han, and I can't wait to see what you guys think of her first trilogy. A lot of the gals in our community have already read this and really enjoyed it. So nothing says Paper and Glam Book Club list like a bunch of emails from all of you saying it was a smash hit. July. All right, back to a little bit dark, a little bit heavier. July is our classic for 2019. And we are going to be reading Joseph Heller's Catch-22. I have not read this classic. I haven't read any of the books on the list because I like to experience them fresh with you guys. And Catch-22 became our classic because it is being adapted into a mini-series that's going to be on Hulu this year in 2019. It is directed and starring George Clooney, as well as Kyle Chandler of Friday Night Lights fame. He was also in Grey's Anatomy and so many other things. And I thought, what a great time to read Catch-22 in time for the fall debut of the the Hulu series. Okay, I'm going to have to borrow the publisher speak on what a Catch-22 is, otherwise I will completely butcher it. So this is about a U.S. bombardier in World War II, and he's basically furious because all these people he's never met are trying to kill him, and he's trying to kill all these people that he's never met. So, kind of a classic war backdrop. And the title comes from this bureaucratic rule that says that a concern for one's safety in the force of dangers which are real and immediate is the process of a rational mind. A man is considered insane if he willingly continues to fly dangerous combat missions, but a request to be removed from duty is evidence of sanity and therefore makes him ineligible to be removed from duty. So I use the term Catch-22 all the time, and I'm really excited to have read the book that inspired that term that we probably all use in day-to-day dialogue. August, we are back to lighten it up. August is the Sunday of summer, and I figured we would just read one more page turner. Apparently I'm all about the murder mysteries this year. Maybe it's because Dee, one of our new book chatters, has kind of inspired me to revisit some thrillers because she just loves a good thriller. And she told me that Gone Girl was her favorite thriller, and that's my favorite thriller, and probably a lot of yours. But I was like, if Gone Girl's my favorite, I might be doing this whole thriller thing wrong. But she assured me I might be on the right track. Anyway, so another thriller for August is going to be Fashion Victim. I can't resist a pink and black cover. It's just a very paper and glam cover. And August is like our signature month, so the collection is all black and pink and white, and this cover, of course, got my attention. But what I really loved about the publisher's copy is that it said this was Devil Wears Prada meets Psycho, and then another one said Devil Wears Prada meets Dexter. I've never seen Dexter, but of course I think we all know Psycho. I haven't seen it, but I know about some scenes. And this is written by, let's see, hopefully I don't butcher her name, Amina Attar. She worked at Vogue, so there's the Devil Wears Prada connection, just like Lauren Weisberger, who wrote A Devil Wears Prada, worked at Vogue. And the author is really inspired by some of those same experiences, and it's basically that cutthroat Vogue world where the girls are competing for like that top job, except someone ends up dead. And there's just so much more to this book, and I think it's going to be some really fun but also smart women's fiction, and I'm excited to end the summer with this light page turner. For September, we are back to nonfiction after 8 months of fiction, and I am really excited to introduce you potentially to one of my all-time favorite authors, Emily Freeman. She wrote a book in 2015 called Simply Tuesday, and this is another one that you guys have really wanted on the list. I have referenced Emily's book, Grace for the Good Girl, which she wrote in 2011, and when I read it, I was just forcing it on all of my friends. I forced it on Margie, who's one of my IRL friends, who you guys know because she's a book chatter, and she loved it. And I, at this point in my kind of Christian journey, was struggling a little bit with like the good girl narrative, and it kind of always felt like in like Christian subculture that the strength of someone's testimony was determined by the degree to which they rebelled. And Emily is like a pastor's daughter, I believe. I think, or she's married to a pastor, one of the two. And her whole premise is like, what about the grace for the good girl? And so this book was really just a game changer for me. And when she released Simply Tuesday, which is subtitled Small Moment Living in a Fast Moving World, I felt like this really strikes at the heart of what we try to do here at Paper and Glam. And her whole premise is about reclaiming like the simple, small moments that we might rush past on like your average Tuesday. I love this quote from the book. Jesus lived small moments well, slow moments fully and all moments freely. He lives with us still on all our ordinary days, creating and redeeming the world both in us and through us, one small moment at a time. It's time to take back Tuesday, to release our obsession with building a life and believe in the life Christ is building in us every day. October is a book that really needs no introduction, except to say that I did not know this was a book until last year, and it is Practical Magic. I totally did a little sneak because this was on the November kit. There was a book in the November kit that had Practical Magic on it, and so many of you were like, oh my gosh, are we reading Practical Magic? And so I totally confirmed it. So a few of you knew this was coming, but when Alice Hoffman released her prequel to Rules of Magic, I was like, wait a minute, Practical Magic is a book? I just thought it was one of my all-time favorite Glamoween movies. And if you haven't seen the movie, it's starring Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock, and it is just cult classic, kind of like Hocus Pocus. I don't know why, but the 90s were just like a golden age of movies, and I love to watch that every Halloween, and I just could not believe I didn't know it was a book, and I immediately was like, okay, we gotta read Practical Magic for our Glamorine read in 2019. So that's the plan for Glamoween 2019. November, we are on the home stretch, girlfriends. For November, we are reading November 9th. And not just because I can't resist a book with a month or a season in the title, or a very seasonal cover art or image, but November 9th came out in 2015, and again, this is another one that when it came out, you guys blew me up saying we gotta read this together in the book club, and I've had it on my short list. I basically keep this big epic list of everything you guys recommend to me, and the things that like keep coming up and up, I move up to like the short list. So this is a really fun book. I like to keep things nice and light for the holidays because I know we all can be extra busy, and that's kind of like the opposite of what we want our holidays to be. But I think for most of us, regardless of your industry, work kind of ramps up and there may be a little less time for reading. So this is just kind of like a nice breezy one. It's about a girl named Fallon who meets Ben the day before she is moving from LA across the country, and they meet up every November 9th for I forget a number of years, and that's kind of the setup of the book. And yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know if it's like a book. You guys can categorize it for me, those of you that are Colleen Hoover fans. I have had Colleen Hoover on my radar for a while, but I've never read her, and I thought this would be a good opportunity. I know that she has this like huge following and people have like quotes tattooed on their bodies, and I just can't wait to experience my first Colleen Hoover book right along with you guys. December. In December, we are reading Loving My Actual Christmas. So Alexandra Kai Kendall is a Denver-based author, and I read her first book, Loving My Actual Life, when it came out, and I picked it up because it kind of sounded like a Christian happiness project. And if you're like me, I just love Gretchen Rubin. I cannot get enough of all of her books. I'm not much of a rereader, but I really reread hers. So I found that Alexandra's was similar, but kind of had a different take on things than Gretchen. It was less practical, so a little bit harder to apply. But when I found out she was coming out with a Christmas version of her book, that just seemed like a match made in heaven, especially as we start God and Glam together on December 2nd. Next Sunday, we're going to talk all about God and Glam, so just real quick, just like we read a book a month together every year, we also read a Bible verse or a chapter every day together, and it's also seasonal, and so we do that through a Bible study called God and Glam. So I'm going to read the really quick little quote from the publisher, and I think you'll really see what I mean. The Christmas season is a particularly difficult time for women to slow down and relish what's right in front of them. An annual marker for many, it is a holiday that can often remind us how life is not going as we planned. Our family relationships remain strained, our finances stretched, and our schedules stuffed with too much to do in too little time. Alexandra Kai Kendall shares her own personal experiment to be completely present in her life as it is during the holiday season. Addressing the themes of Advent and Christmas, she reflects on hope, love, joy, peace, and relishing the season. So I love that she incorporated Advent into this book. Advent is just one of my favorite seasons of the year, and when I first started reading the Christian year, the Christian New Year is actually the first week of Advent, or the first Sunday of Advent, and this year it's December 2nd, next year it's December 1st. It's usually like the very, very close around there, and I was like, gosh darn it, why does the Christian year start like during the most busiest time of the year? And I feel like now that just feels so appropriate, because it is the time when we should be, focusing on the reason of the season and taking time to reflect. And one of the things that, not to get too far into next Sunday's video, but one of the things I love about the Christian year is that it pulls out so many of the themes, the seasonal themes, as we walk through it. So for Christmas, it is hope and peace, and those are themes in our Bible study, and they're also themes that are brought up in this book, Loving My Actual Christmas. I feel like we sometimes can have big expectations for Christmas. I think we all love Christmas. And, when those don't go as planned, or when the holidays can kind of bring up things that are painful as much as they can bring up things that are joyful. If you've lost someone, or, you're going through something, it can be a season that's hard. And Christmas is about joy, but Advent is about waiting. And, it's kind of that feeling that hope is here, but not yet. And yeah, this book is about that feeling, and kind of that tension between wanting to have that Christmas joy, and at times always maybe not feeling that way. So that is our 2019 year in books, and I would be so honored if you would read along with us. One question that I often get is, how do I become a book chatter? So you become a book chatter by joining us live during our live chats. I issued an open call for our 2019 book chatters on the September live chat when we were discussing Stories I Tell in Bars by Jen Lancaster. She was kind of my favorite author selection for 2018, and we have 3 book chatters joining us, in addition to some familiar faces that have been reading along with us since the very beginning of our book chatting and book club, monthly book club sessions. So I'm just so excited for you guys to meet them. They have already started joining. They'll be with us in the November session, and if you want to be a book chatter, then read along with us and comment and just be engaged in the community, because without you guys, I'm just reading books by myself. And I am just so grateful to those of you who keep our groups active and keep, our YouTube channel active, give the videos thumbs up, because that's how we grow, and that's how we also grow as a community and a sisterhood. So that is the scoop on 2019, and next we're going to be taking a close-up look at some of the beautiful resources that Team Glam has put together to keep us organized and accountable to reading a book a month together. Here we go, the 2019 Paper and Glam Book Club Planner Kit. Let's open it. So just like last year, we have our dashboard and we have our stickers. What I did add this year is all of the dates for the entire year for our live chats. So you can mark these in your planner today, right now, or as soon as you get your kit, and each of the book stickers correspond to the live chat. You may want to grab 2 of these kits if you want a sheet of stickers for like your weekly layout or your monthly layout. And then on the bottom here, it has the cutest little stickers that has like a book line of our 12 reads. So most of the chats are on the last Thursday of the month, with a few exceptions. One is the April chat is going to be on April 18th because I will be at Stagecoach. And then the October chat is going to be on the 24th because the last Thursday of the month is Halloween. And then same goes for November and December. We're just going to be the 3rd Thursday instead of the 4th. So I will see you the last Thursday of the month or the 3rd Thursday of the month in 2019, and we're ready to mark our planners. Also included in this year's book club kit is a set of 12 seasonal bookmarks, and they have the cutest seasonal scenes on the front and then patterns on the back. So this pattern you may recognize from our January kit, which is on sale now and actually very close to sell out. So run, not walk, as I say. And then the back has some snowflakes, and I think it's going to be too cute that you can put this bookmark in like the top of your January read, or maybe a book that you like to read during the winter, and the month will stick out, and you'll also have some seasonal scenes. And then February has this adorable sneak peek of our kit for 2019. We got some Valentine coffee and Valentine's chocolate. And March is a cute little sneak peek at our Lucky kit, which is coming out to celebrate St. Patrick's Day and unicorns. And then the back has cute little clovers. And April, this is very reminiscent of our April cover, and it has rain boots and tulips, and the back it has raindrops. In May, we have just all things May, so we've got like some summer bikes and summer popsicles, burgers for Burger Day and Memorial Day, and some fun spring wedges. On the back, we have just like some cute little confetti. June, first month of summer, we've got a pool pattern with Clarence, our flamingo, and unicorn floaty. And on the back, this is actually taken from a towel I have that says like tan and flip in this same pattern. July, we have our Glamericana barbecue, because, you know, we'll be having a glam cookout again this year. And then on the back, it just has some classic picnic gingham. August, our signature month, we took this pattern from the Glam It Up kit, so it might look familiar. It's got the cute beauty blenders and palettes and whatnot, and in the back it just has some polka dots. September, we have our fall pattern from Glam Fall with our pumpkin spice lattes and our sweaters, and then the cute falling leaves pattern. October, this pattern was on our Bewitchin' Glamoween sticker, and the back has polka dots. November, a pattern you will recognize from the Glam Thanksgiving kit, and the back has a Thanksgiving plaid. And then December, a pattern you will recognize from Glam Christmas, and the back has our adorable trees. So this is everything that's included in the 2019 Book Club Planner Kit. Next, we're going to talk about some other fun reading things we have in the shop. Glam Reads got an all-new facelift this year, and she's looking so cute for 2019, including some seasonal scenes, which all feature just cute little bookish moments. The first page has our books and our book stacks, glasses maybe for marking what you're currently reading, and then drink coffee, read books, a little book club logo, and our classic little flowers, books, candle, coffee, you know, my favorite things. And then these seasonal scenes change with every month. And so in January, we have a little mug that says winter vibes and like a January blue mani and a book open. Then we have a girl sitting by the fire and reading, which is one of our January celebrations on our January seasonal living list. And then a nice winter bath with some January blue water. On the second page, we have stickers for marking your book reviews when you finish books, and then also for tracking your readings. So this is for tracking how many pages you've read each month, and then this is for a monthly summary. If you have a particular goal for how much you read, this is a fun way to stay on track with that. And then each month follows the same format, so I'll just go over the cute little seasonal scenes. So this one, this gal has on some Valentine socks, and she has some Valentine coffee. I mean, how cute is that? And then these books are arranged in a heart, and then this book stack has an open book with a heart-shaped, or pages flipped into a heart. And second page of February. March, so this gal is sipping some coffee with a little clover duvet cover, and she's actually reading. If you look closely, she's reading our March book, which is really fun and very meta here at Paper and Glam. And then we have another spring bath for like spring spa night, and then a little mashup of like books and flowers. And April, a fun purple bath this time, some Easter coffee and some Easter socks, and she's got the favorite sister on her bed. And then we have the Glam Easter basket, which this year has some books in it. So this is the all new Glam Reads, but this means the previous version of Glam Reads is in the outlet and it is on a slam sale. So you can grab this whole 365 and it is a price that cannot be beat. The stickers are pretty similar from last year. They just don't have the fun seasonal reading scenes. So we have a few of these left and I'd love to send them home to you. And then we have our signature reading stickers, which are also in the outlet just because we're going to be changing this font out. So a lot of our signature offerings, which are just non-seasonal, functional stickers that have the font we previously used, are in the outlet, and reading is one of them. And last but not least, if you are just joining our book club and you're thinking about going back and reading some of the books that we read in previous years and discussed together, we have a handful of the 2018 Paper and Glam Book Club stickers left. So these are also in the outlet, but there's just a few left. So as always, run that walk. All right, Paper and Glam readers, I hope you are feeling organized and inspired to turn some pages together in 2019. And next, a few housekeeping things. The Team Glam is going to go home and see our families for Thanksgiving. So we will be back next Sunday for the Gone Glam release. And yesterday we did a fun little seasonal candle haul and just lots of fun to come. We do have extra high order volume, which I'm so excited and grateful for, but please give us a little grace with returning emails and getting orders out. We are glamming so hard. The whole team has just been working around the clock and could not do it without the people behind the camera. You may have noticed in the video, my voice is a bit of a mess because I'm kind of recovering from strep, but I would not miss the Super Bowl Sunday of Paper and Glam videos. So we all can use a little break. So thank you in advance just for your grace with getting those customer service emails answered and those hot pink mailers to your doorstep. We have so much coming for you guys in 2019, and I'm so encouraged that all of what we do here at Paper and Glam is resonating with you. And if you enjoy Paper and Glam, please give this video a thumbs up. You can support us just by clicking that little thumbs up video, subscribing to this channel and our book club channel, and of course visiting the shop to grab your 2019 book club planner kit or our God and Glam reading kit, and subscribing for Glam Mail, whatever you would like to make your 2019 all that you hoped. I hope that we've created some products that can help you do that. So with that, sisters, thank you so much for hanging with me today. Have a beautiful Thanksgiving. I am so thankful for each of you and just all the support you give me in this community. You literally help us keep the lights on, and when I say my prayers, I pray for each of you and just all that we've done together in the past 5 years. So until next Sunday, sisters, happy reading.